Okay then. So today we'll discuss about debug options or whatever debug options are available in Talend. So we have two types of options. One is Trace Debug, and second one is Java Debug. Okay. So these are two debug options are available in Talend. So we'll see that in practical. We'll create one Talend job. Okay. We'll take that table as an input. As an input. We'll use map component. So this is the Talend job we created just to extract data from source table. Okay. And then just we are doing some direct mapping from source to target and we are running. So whenever we run the Talend job, right, we use a run tab. Okay. In the Talend studio, once we're done with the development, we'll use this run tab to run the Talend job. So this is a basic run, right? Just we'll run and we'll test the data like whether the transformation is properly implemented or not. Okay. So this is the basic run option we have in Talend to test the Talend job. So this is a basic run. So when coming to the debug run in Talend, what it does like it will read the record by record. So we can see what records we are extracting from the source on each and every column. And then we can see after transformation what it is giving output. Okay, what we are reading from the input after transformation, what we are getting the output, so that we can validate whatever transformation we did in the tmap, right? It is doing up according to the requirement or not. So the main feature of this option is to like to check whether the particular transformation is implemented properly or not. And also if we get any error like null point exception, string out of bound exception, memory related issues, so we can validate on which particular column we are getting that error. So first we'll see the transformation, then after I will explain like if you are getting any error, how it helps to identify on which column we are getting that particular error. Okay, first we'll do the simple transformation. So like we can use dot. Uppercase, right? Okay, one is this, and second one higher date. So higher date, how we are getting YYMMDD. Okay, and we want to convert into, for example, higher date. So the date higher. So we want to convert into DDYYMM. Okay, date, post date, format date. Okay. So we want to convert into date, month, y. Okay, two transformation we are doing. One is converting into the uppercase, and second one is related to the date format change. So we also need to change the data type, right? Okay, then we have to use a past date function to convert into date format. Just past date. This one. Because our target is we are having date. So when we are using format date function, what it does, it will convert into the, it will return into the string only. But our target data type is date, so we have to change accordingly. So here we are doing two transformation. One is converting this to uppercase, and second one is related to the past date function. So now if you run the job right in the trace debug mode, you can see that row by row records. See, so here you can see right in the target what it is coming. So here you can validate, and also you can validate the date. So here you can see entire record, all the columns data, each and every row. So if you are performing any transformation of the any column, you can see for each and every row it is applying according to the transformation or not. So here we can validate with the sample records. So instead of reading all the data, we can also use the T sample row component to validate around like 20 records, 30 records, like that. We can validate for each and every row. So this is the feature we have in the trace debug mode. We can monitor each and every row. Okay, what it is, what data we are getting from the source, and this is the output. If you see that right, row one, it is related to this output. Out is nothing but it is related to the after tmap component. So both the result we can see. Okay. So the main purpose of this component for the debugging purpose, if in case of any issues or any job failure, right, in production. So you are not able to identify on which column it is you are getting the error. So in that case, we can use this option to debug this particular job, Talend job. Okay. So here we have in the bottom, if you see right, we can pause that and we can resume, or we have option called kill. Okay, pause means like you can stop the process. Okay, then if you want to again restart, then you can click on the resume option, and then we have kill option. So you want to stop the process, you can click on kill, and here we have clear, right? There is an option called clear. So if you want to clean this, whatever is there in the design, right? Designer, you can click on this clear, so it will clean up. And then we can have next option, it will run the job. So if you want to run, right, whatever pending, it will also run from that start. So next option is also available. So we can, when we use the next, we can read one by record. So it will stop. Once extraction one data, it will stop. And we can also go to the previous one, previous record, like this. So this option is mainly for like to read record by record. Okay, if you run or click on the basic run, so it will just run the job like one by one, all the records. Okay, so this is the main feature of this trace debug. And also in the trace debug, we can include what columns you want to monitor. like if you right click on it, right, it will have there is an option called setup traces. Okay, when you click on this, it will ask like it will give all the column list. Suppose I want to monitor only because I have around 300 columns, but in tmap, for example, I did transformation on only 2 columns. Okay, and my main focus on the transformation only. Whatever columns in the tmap I have used as for the transformation, I want to monitor those columns only. In that case, you can right click on this and then click on the setup traces, then select the column. So in our case, I want to enable for employee ID, name, and hire date. These 3 columns I want to monitor. Okay. So here also we can get that option. I want to monitor employee ID, first name, and hire date. These 3 columns. Okay. So now run the job. See. Okay. You see that, right? We have only in the trace debug, we are getting only 3 columns data because we did transformation on this first name and hire date, and employee I need because I want to know that on which employee I'm not getting the proper response or a proper output, so that I can go and I can identify in the source if there is an issue in the source side or if there is an issue in the team map. Okay. So again, here you can pause the same option. We have resume. Okay, we can kill that job and we can click on the clear option and we can read record by using this next option. Okay, when we are clicking next, it will give record by record. So at a time we can read 1 record and we can go to the previous record also. Okay. So we'll go to this issue like, so we'll see, we'll write one logic in the same string handling function right here. So we want to do the string handling function. Then after we want to use dot equals. Okay. So here, wherever I found wherever I found David, right? So in the output, I need only first 3 characters, for example. So wherever I'm getting the name, first name as a David, I need only first 3 characters. Okay. So we have substring function, right? Where you can give start and end point. I need only first 3 characters. Else, I want to take as is. Okay. So in the source side, what I'm doing, like wherever I found first name as a David, I want to get the first 3 characters. It is nothing but DAV. Okay. I'm writing this logic to get the first 3 characters. So I will disable the trace debug option and I'm running with the basic run. So we can see that what is the issue and then we can identify how we can resolve that. Okay. So here we are getting null point restriction. So by looking into this error message, so this is the null point exception we are getting in the job. Okay. So we did some transformation on this first name column in the tmap, but somehow there is an issue or there is some value like null value in the source side on a particular column. So because of that reason, we are getting this null pointer exception. So by looking into this error message, are we able to find out that on which column we are getting the data of this error? Can we find like on which column we are getting the error message null pointer exception?
No.
By looking into this error message, so think about like it's a production issue. So you have developed a Talend job and you did unit testing and all, and you deployed the job into the production environment. But in one day, what happens? There is a null pointer exception in your code when you are running the job on the particular day in the production tag environment. You got null pointer exception. So by looking into this error message, can we identify on which column we are getting? On which column we are getting that error message? Think like around 300 columns we have in the job. Around 300 columns we have. So is it possible to directly identify on which record we are getting the error message on which column? Is it possible?
No, not possible.
No.
Here you can see anywhere it is mentioned like this on this particular column we are getting this null pointer exception. Anywhere it is defined.
No.
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 Right. So now we can see how we can achieve with this trace debug option. Okay. So first what we do that we go to the tmap component, whatever job deployed to the production. Okay. For example, you can take this as a production job and you are taking write that code and you are doing that debugging. Okay. So this in the tmap component, first we'll identify on which column we have transformation, because this null point exception only occurs wherever we are doing some transformation, but from the input side we are expecting some value, but we are getting null on that particular column, right? So first we'll go to this tmap component and we'll identify on which column we are doing the transformation. So in our case, we are doing transformation on first name and we are doing transformation on date column, right? Higher date. So these are two columns we are doing the transformation. Okay. So then we'll go to this trace debug option. So here will be already we did that, but yeah, that's I'm showing like why we need the setup traces. So just now we added only the columns, required columns, right? So we go to this settings, setup traces, and then we select the columns. Okay, on which column we have the transformation, we'll select only those columns. Okay, so we'll be doing like in the tmap output also. Again, the same option we'll do. We go to this setup traces and we'll select whatever columns having the transformation. Okay, we'll enable those. Okay, employee ID, first name, and hire date. Now you can run the job now. So now we are running the job with the trace debug. Okay, again job failed. Okay, again we are getting the same null point exception, but here how many records we extracted from the source, from the DB input?
4.
4 records. How many records are processed to the output?
3.
3. So it is nothing but fourth record. On fourth record we have the error, because we know that 3 records are processed to the next component, and fourth record is having the issue. So we know that on which record we are getting that error, the row number we got. So now we will go to these columns. Okay, employee ID, we don't have the transformation, but just we are printing to get the on which employee ID we are getting that error. And second, the first name. So if you see that, right, first name we are getting null. Okay, on first name column we are getting the null. So till third row, first name is having some value, but fourth row, first name is having null value. Okay. And if you go to the hire date is also having the value. So by looking into this data, now we can say, right, on which column we are getting that error. On which column we are getting that error, null point exception?
Fourth column.
No, fourth row it is.
First
but
name, first
column.
name, first name, first name.
How you are identifying that it is getting on the first name column?
Uh,
How you are coming to the conclusion that it is coming with the first name column?
for records process.
Here first name value is null.
Yeah. So the main thing, like first name is having the null. What we are getting here? Null point exception, right? And what we are doing in the tmap component? We are doing some transformation dot equals. So there is a first name, there is a column called first name, which is having null. So null dot equals, it will work. Null dot equals will not work, right?
No.
So here on the first name column, we are able to see that there is a null value. Because of that reason, we are getting the null pointer exception. So now by using this trace debug option, we are identifying on which row we are getting that error, and we also identified on which column we got that error. So this null point exception we get most of the times on a column where we are doing the transformation. Where we will get, because we haven't handled that exceptions. We thought when we developed the job, right? Each and every column from the source, here also you can see that. It is also giving, right, in the preview, the data. So here in the output also it will give. So we thought that each and every column will be having some value. Okay, because whatever the sample data we have, when we develop that in the Talend Studio, the job is ran fine. But when we move it to the production with the real-time data, what happened? Because of this particular column is not having the data, we got this null point exception. So we know that what is the issue, and we know that on which column we got that error. Okay. So we'll go to this particular column and we'll see the transformation. Then by looking into the transformation, we come to the conclusion that the exception handle is not implemented properly. So we'll use this relational dot is null function. So what it does, right? If there is any null in the column, what we do that, we'll put the value as a null. Otherwise, we do the transformation. Because you don't need the transformation for a on a particular null value, right? So we don't need a transformation on a null value. If there is any null in the first name column, we put value as a null. Otherwise, we do the transformation. Okay. So now we'll go to this. So here we fixed that issue. We added a new logic by using the relational dot is null function. Okay. By using that, we are checking whether the source column are having any null values. If it is, then put the default null, or else do the transformation. So now we will go to this Trace Debug and we'll run the job. Okay. Now you can see that there is no error. Okay. We are not getting the null point exception because we handle that in the Talend job. So here you can see one by one record also. We'll go with this next. Okay. So that we can see that what we are getting in the input on the fourth record. So first row, it's fine, right? No issues. Second, no. Third one is no issue. The fourth one only, right? On which we did that, on which we added that logic. So you can see that employee ID, first name we are getting null, and output also null. So this is expected because from the source, if I'm getting the null value, there is no point to do the transformation. So we have to take as is. Okay. So we added that logic in the first name column under the expression, Because of that reason, when we running the job on fourth row, we are not getting that null pointer exception. Okay, like this you can click on next. So now you got an idea, right, how it is, how the trace debug helps the developer, how it helps the developer, like in order to identify that issue and fix that. Okay, so after running this, we have to always use the basic run only when we are taking that build. Don't use the debug run, because it will be take more time, like for execution the job, because it will monitoring, we are monitoring each and every row, right? So we have to avoid, before moving to the production, right, we have to disable that option. Only basic run we have to use. Okay, debug run only for the to identify that issues or any errors occurs, any of the production related issues, or in your development area when you are doing unit test and you got any error and you are not able to identify that issue. So you can use this option to read the record by record and monitor the data. Okay, it's clear? Not clear, huh?
Yes, sir.
So now we'll see this Java debug. Actually, this we have another option. So one is trace debug, right? So trace debug will be happen on the records, whatever data we are extracting, doing transformation, right? So we have another option called I will kill this Java debug. So this option we basically use for the Java code, whatever Java code generated in the backend, right? If you want to see any errors or any warnings, right, we can use this Java debug. Okay, select that Java debug option and click on it. So it will open a different window where we can see all the warnings and suggestion of that particular code. So in the bottom, it will show that all the problems we have. So this is a console. This one is problems and debug cell. So in the problem, we can see errors, warnings, information. So these three types of message we get under the problem. And debug cell, we can write some condition. Based on the condition, when we trigger, right, it will check that code. Okay, we can also pass the context parameter values here. So here we can see all the warnings and all. This is not that much useful, but we have this option also. For this, like we need some at least basic knowledge of Java code. Okay, core Java exposure we have, then only we can able to identify or we can able to understand the code. Okay, so you can click on that particular problem and it will show where it is coming. Okay, so each and every problem we can identify where exactly it is giving that error. Okay. So we'll close this one. Go to this integration perspective. Okay, so we have two options: trace debug, Java debug, and Java debug is related to the Java code related. If any issues is there, we can identify on the Java debug mode and we can fix that issue. But we need some Java knowledge on this if you want to use this Java debug feature. So next we'll move to the breakpoints. Okay, we'll move to the breakpoints.
So in Talend, for each and every flow, right? This is link and this is another link, right? For each and every link, we can add the breakpoints. Okay, we can right click on it. So we can get an option called show breakpoint setup. So it will give that breakpoint settings. Here we can add the breakpoint. Okay, so the breakpoint main use is so it is nothing but stop the process on a specific stop the talent job execution on a particular condition. Okay, so what it does, like you want to stop the talent job process if there is a condition you're writing on this breakpoint, right? So we can go to this breakpoint. If you are adding any condition, once that condition meets, right, when we are reading the data, so you want to stop that process and you want to see that on that particular condition. So whether you are what data you are getting. So if you take an example of this only, okay. For example, whatever condition we written in this, right, David, right? Yeah. So whenever there is in a first name, I want to stop that execution of the job. First name, right? So here, how we can add the breakpoint? Go to this link and right click on it. Okay. Then click on the show breakpoint setup so that you can go to the breakpoint. Okay. And then click on this active conditional breakpoint, or else you can click on this one, select the first name. So on which column you want to add the condition. So we have different functions here, lowercase, uppercase. Okay. So these all the functions we have. And we have operator equals, not equal, greater than. It's like a filter only. If you go to the T filter row component, right? Here are whatever condition we have, the same way we have in these breakpoints. But here it will filter the records and it will go to the record by record. And here what it does, it will stop that process. So wherever I find the David, I want to stop that
talent job execution. Okay. And we can also add multiple conditions here. We can use or operator, like for example, I want to stop on two conditions. One is Ismail. Okay. And click on this active condition. So I'm writing two conditions here. One is first name with the David and first name with the Ismail. If any of the record encounters in the source, I want to stop the talent job execution. So whenever you are adding this breakpoint, right, you need to run the job in the trace debugger mode, not the basic run. We have to run in the trace debug mode, not in basic run. Okay. So whenever you are adding that breakpoint, it will come like this. There is a button it will add. So you can get this symbol whenever you are adding the breakpoint. So we can also have an option to disable, I think. Yeah. Disable show breakpoint, right? Where we can deactivate. Okay. So now we can run the job in the trace debug mode. See. So what happens whenever it encounters that value David? So it is stopping that record. Okay. It is stopping that record. So if you want to resume that, we have to click on the next, or like otherwise you can go to the breakpoint. So when we click on this one, what happens? It will run till next breakpoint. So we have two breakpoints, right? One is with the David, another for the Ismail. So when we click on it, breakpoint, right? If it is encounters this same breakpoint value in the next, till that it will execute. See, Ismail. Okay. Here we have to give the 0, comma. So okay. So now it will start for the next breakpoint. Okay. You can see that David, right? It is coming like this. So you can see that wherever we find the David, it will stop that. Otherwise, it will run. Okay. So I did some change, right? I will run again. See, earlier we are not getting expected output. Okay, just we are getting AV. Now you can see David. Again, it will return. It is returning as a DAV. This is the expected output. So on which condition we return that logic, right? I want to see that whether my output is giving that proper or not after the transformation. So by using this, we can identify. Okay, like this for all the values wherever I found that first name as a David and Ismail, I want to see that values. Okay. Okay, Ismail, I don't have any logic, so it's an uppercase only, right? Directly, like next breakpoint. Okay, again on 151 record, we are getting that. Sorry, 52 record. On 52 record, we are getting the first name as a David. Yeah, expected output it is coming. Next. Okay, again on 66, we have the first name as a David. Yeah, we are getting expected output. Okay. After that, there is no value of David or Ismail. So because of that reason, it processed all the records. Okay. So the breakpoint will help you like on a particular condition, whether whatever transformation you are written is implemented properly or not. Okay. And you can identify that if there is an issue. Just now we identified, right? We are not getting expected output. Okay. So we have already T-log row, but it is very clumsy. Like if you go to this record, it is very difficult to identify all the records. Okay. Instead of that, if I use this option, right, it will be very useful. So you can write this, right, breakpoints. Go to this link and we can add multiple conditions, and we can also use the advanced mode. Okay, where we can directly write this condition, if else condition. If you know the Java logic, Java code, so you can write if else condition with the using of this use advanced mode. Okay, so this is about breakpoints which we have in the Talend.
అన్న హైడేట్ లో మనం ఇచ్చిన ప్యాటర్న్ DD-MM- అది కదా.
ఇక్కడ ఇట్లా మీకు ప్రింట్ అవ్వదు. లాగ్ రోలో చూస్తే మీకు కరెక్ట్ గా వస్తుంది.
ఓకే,
ఇది Talend లో అక్కడ ప్రింట్ అవుతుంది. బట్ ఇఫ్ యూ గో టు దిస్ అవుట్పుట్, రైట్, వేర్ ఇట్ ఈస్, యా యూ కెన్ సీ దట్ ఇదే కదా ఎక్స్పెక్టెడ్ అవుట్. Okay, so whenever we see in that right in the job level, ఇది ఇలానే వస్తుంది. ఇక్కడ కూడా చూడండి, ఫ్రైడే is nothing but day, month, and 220 month. Okay, it is printing different. Talend లో ఇది ఇలానే వస్తుంది. దీనికి అవుట్పుట్ లో చూస్తే మాత్రం వీ కెన్ గెట్ ఎగ్జాక్ట్ అవుట్పుట్. విల్ గెట్ ఇట్.
ఓకే, ఓకే.
Okay, so anyone having any questions? Is it useful, or do you think like comparing to the normal basic run? So main we use this in a when we get any errors only. It's not like basic unit test will not use. But in case of yesterday we discussed about different test cases, right? So when we are running with the different test cases and like we manually put that null values or some other values in order to see that our code is working properly or not. For all the negative scenarios when we do the testing, right? On that time it is useful. Okay. And also here instead of doing for all the records, we can also use this t sample row component. There is a component, right? Instead of doing validation on all the records, we can use the t sample row in between, and where we can specify the record like 1 to 50. So here also we need to add this. Here we have the breakpoint, right? So if you want to add, you can add also. Setup traces. Okay. And one more thing here, this breakpoints you can add also after output also. Just click on this link. Okay. Just click on this link and go to the component section and enable the breakpoints. So just I added after this only, right? But you can add in all the links. For all the links, we have this option breakpoint. And component also we have the add breakpoint option. When you right click on that component, right? We have add breakpoint option. Okay. So now we can see that it will run for only 50 records. We are minimizing that records. Okay.
Yeah. So here you can see like we are extracting all the records, but we are only doing the validating only 50 records. So to avoid that, we can use this t sample row also. Okay. So with this, we completed these two options. Okay, under the run tab, trace debug, Java debug, and breakpoint options. So tomorrow we'll discuss about Java routines. Okay, so I will not cover